on everybody, Wayne's Workshop here, and welcome to the new workshop. And this was my old work desk, and that's simply not gonna do. So what I did is buy a whole bunch of wood, some 2x4s, some tools, a giant ass saw, and I've never worked with wood before, so this should be interesting.
Wayne's Workshop. So the first thing I did was design the whole workbench in Fusion 360. This allowed me to see how much of wood I needed to buy, and when sawing the 2x4s, easily see with the inspection tool what size what beam needs to be. This bench will be up on my website, but you will need Fusion 360 to open it. I also have a video on explaining the basics of Fusion 360 for cosplay. Now to unpack my new saw and cut those 2x4s to size.
Alright, so I cut all the beams to size. These are just some scrap pieces. Now see, for the bottom, I'm going to make it like this. It's just going to stand like this and use these corner brackets to screw them together. Why? Because I got these big, heavy-duty nylon wheels that will go on all four corners and one in the middle. But for the rest, like on the table legs, so to say, and on all the frames, I'm going to place them like so. And I've seen people, like I like to make stuff and build around from punished props, use these pocket hole jigs, and I wanted to try them out. The concept is pretty simple. You have your one wood beam, you've set it to a certain size, you align it, you grab a clamp, make sure it's aligned, and you, a little bit looser, and you clamp it. And then with the drill you get with it, you have this wood drill with a smaller tip on the end there, and when you drill it in an angle like this and the ring will stop you, you just have to make sure that just the tip is just poking out of here, and that's why this ring is here, so you won't like accidentally go all the way through. And then when you screw in your pocket screw, it will actually catch on, the head of the screw will catch on to that wider bit, and that will, when screwing, screw that beam onto that one. So let's do that on this little scrap piece here. So you see, just went out. And the other one, there we go. Release the clamp. Now with these screws, you can see when I kind of like wiggle them through, see the head, and it's at an angle, and the head will actually catch onto that wider ledge, and then when screwing it onto that, it will like merge it together, or screw it together. You can also use the clamp to clamp these together to kind of have it aligned. I'm not going to do that for this instance, for this example. Just use my impact driver. And then you've got a corner with no brackets and just two screws at an angle. So I got to drill a lot of these pocket holes now and all the rest of the beams.
With those pocket holes drilled, I moved on to using the corner brackets to connect the wooden beams to create the bottom frame. Buying this impact driver sure made it way more easier than when I had used my normal cordless drill. I also placed some wood beams in the middle to provide some support, as I am going to place heavy stuff on here. With the bottom frame done, I moved on to the top frame. Those were connected together with those pocket holes I drilled earlier. Afterwards, I added the 6 legs to the top frame with some long screws all the way through. For the tops, I used 18mm thick MDF, pre-drilled some holes and screwed it onto the frame. Time to put the two frames together. I let the top frame with legs rest on its side and lifted the bottom frame up and held it against it. Using my impact driver to screw the bottom frame onto the middle leg first, so I can safely let go without having the bottom frame tip over and smack down on the floor. Then it was a simple task to screw the rest of the legs onto the bottom frame. I mentioned those nylon wheels earlier. The center one is one without a brake pad because I wouldn't be able to reach it anyway, but the 4 ones on the corners all have breaker pads to lock it in place. With the wheels in place, I got some help to lift it from its side and onto the wheels, which I forgot to record. And I'm happy to say that it was all straight and very maneuverable. I got some help again to lift the other giant MDF sheet on the top of the bench and proceeded to pre-drill some holes and screw it into place. With that done, it was time to build the frame for the middle piece. The same pocket hole method was used and also a center beam screwed in place for extra support. The MDF sheet was a bit too wide for it to fit, so I used my jigsaw to cut off a piece and proceeded to screw it onto the frame.
So a quick recap, everything is drilled with pocket holes and those little brackety thingies. It's all in place, it's sturdy, as you could see, you could like spin it around and it's all good. I made this flat part, which I'm gonna put in between here. So I'm gonna first drill some brackets in, lay that to rest on top of that, and then drill some large screws through that, into that, and then it should all be pretty sturdy. So I got the middle board installed, and right now I want to have these aluminum profile L-shaped brackets. I want to place them all around the entire desk. So I got to drill some holes, I got to saw off some pieces with my saw, so let's do that all around.
I wanted to install a bar on the side to hang some stuff on like rolls of paper. So I drilled a hole with a 20mm wood drill bit, and opposite from that another one, but afterwards I used a chisel to chop away a canal at a 45-degree upward angle so I could remove the tube from the 2 holes so I could slide stuff on and have it hanging and ready like this brown paper roll that I can pull onto the bench top and protect it when I'm working with paint, for example.
So I want to build some electronics into the desk, so I have these hidden power sockets. One is with USB and the other just has a socket, and that's going to be sawed into the desk, all wired up in the bottom, then connected up to this big guy. So I have some sockets in the bottom for stuff like my computer and my monitor, and whenever I need to hook up like a hot glue gun, I can just pop one open, plug it in, and when I don't need it anymore, I can close it again. So more sawing time. All right, so I wired up the first one, wired up to the leads. Now it's gonna go into the hole and all the way to the other one where I'm gonna do basically the same thing all over again. Computer's all hooked up. These are hooked up. Some junk is already down in here in the bottom, so let's plug this in, and the computer will probably work because it's just connected to that power strip. And then let's test both of these and see if my electronic knowledge is still perfect. Goes underneath. Lame. All right, got my glue gun here. Click. Oh, it has a little light already. And that is turned on. Click. Awesome. So that's it for the giant workbench video. I totally forgot to shoot an outro, as I was quite taken back that everything went kind of smooth the way it did. So as you can see, total woodworking noob, never done anything with wood before, but with the help with some YouTube videos and some tools, I managed to build this whole workbench in about 2.5 days. And I really want to get back into YouTube again, and this space and this big guy will really be beneficial in that. And the next project will be the Creality CR30 3D print mill. I'm going to put it together, record it all, and see what I come up with. And I'm also trying to get nylon to print on my Ender 3. So far, mediocre successes. Print quality is nice, but warping is still an issue. I'm gonna make a video of that too. Plans for this workbench will be over on my website, costronica.com, and of course you can get my smoke machines there as well. Thank you for joining me in the adventures in woodworking, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.